everybody, this is Anna with Rise and Climb Family. So this family in this channel is centered around faith, but there's also health aspects to it because so many times behavior issues or health issues affect our mood and the spiritual makeup of the house. Tooth Pillow fits in there by really addressing some issues in a more natural way. So today I'm going to talk about how we even heard about Tooth Pillow, the journey on how we decided to go with Tooth Pillow, our experience, and then simple ways of how you can get started with it. There is a link in the show notes about how you can get a free video consult that's worth $50. And then at the end, I'll talk about how you can get some discounts using that code. So I am an Airway advocate. I decided to become an Airway advocate. So spoiler alert, we've had a really good experience with Tooth Pillow. Tooth Pillow is not a perfect solution for everybody, first of all. And second of all, it's for some people, it fixes everything. And it's like a miracle pill. For other people, they really need other things to help. And it's just like every aspect of health. You hear somebody be like, oh, drinking this water changed my life. And then you drink it and it doesn't really do anything. So I'm not going to go into all of that. Just know that this is a tool, not the only tool. And I definitely do not want to overpromise, but I do want to share our family's results. So first of all, how did we hear about it? My sister sent a podcast. I was working out at the gym. I still remember I was on the treadmill and I listened to it. It was a 1,000 Hours Outside podcast. And she was interviewing one of the doctors who I think founded it. I think it was Dr. Ben. And there's some Vimeo videos that I can also link in the show notes. They're talking about airway and breathing. And I knew it was a philosophy that I had to get Michael on board with and just see what he thought. Our kids did not have tons of issues. So Benaya and Cora are now in the program. And Cora had some bedwetting, but it was nothing crazy. It wasn't like if she was sleeping at a friend's, like, you have to watch out, she's going to wet the bed. She wasn't in nighttime pull-ups, but it was a frequency thing where it never surprised us if she wet the bed, maybe 1 to 2 times a week. I honestly thought that maybe it was just a kid thing. Maybe we weren't watching her with her water intake. Maybe it's something she'd grow out of. I didn't chalk it up to much, but she did have crooked teeth starting to come in. Michael needed braces. I needed braces. We have 4 kids. So if their braces are $6,000, that's going to be $24,000 out of our pocket. So just the crooked teeth alone, realizing that prevention could help fix braces, that was honestly my main goal. But then the reality was they could be having these other health issues going alongside of their mouth breathing issues that lead to the crooked teeth that could be really impacting it. So if these are signs of other health issues, why wouldn't we want to be proactive and preventative in nature? First of all, we did this to avoid braces. And then to me, the bonus of all the health effects were more than icing on the cake. It just was a no-brainer. And I even thought, so say we spent around $3,000 per kid on this. Well, first of all, we could avoid braces. And second of all, we could avoid a ton of other health issues, doctor bills, all of that around this. It just made sense to me. When I would fill out their questionnaire, Cora had more issues. She seemed to have more restless sleep. I didn't think they were mouth breathers. So mouth breathing is any time that you're opening up your mouth just at rest to breathe. Even if you're breathing mainly through your nose, which you're supposed to breathe with your mouth shut, the roof at the top of your mouth, that sets the palate for the floor of nasal airway, and then breathing through your nose. There could be a lot of reasons you're not breathing through your nose, but a lot of times people just can't get that tongue to the roof of their mouth. So when your mouth is open at rest, you're just naturally getting some air in through the mouth. The problem with that is we're meant to breathe through our nose because it has immune system defenses in there. So a lot of times signs that kids need it are infections and constantly being sick because they're mouth breathing. On top of that, like a lot of cavities, that constant air on there is really bad for their teeth. So there's a lot of other signs like restless sleep, ADHD behavior, because if you're not getting good oxygen to the brain at night, it really messes with your ability to concentrate. Another thing that down the road, my dentist was telling me is this can be linked to anxiety and depression, a lot of things. But really one of the main signs is crooked teeth. And that is signs that we aren't breathing properly and that we're going to need braces. But then you put on braces at 12 and it doesn't fix the root problem. And then the solution is lifelong retainers. I have a bottom retainer. I'm supposed to have a top retainer. And really that alone can keep costing money. So we heard about this concept. I sent it to Michael. I was like, what do you think? Cora has a crooked tooth coming in. Benny was losing teeth, so it was really hard to tell what was crooked. And he's like, sure, makes sense to me. And we had money in our HRA. It's very similar to an HSA. And so we're like, well, we could probably use that. Maybe it'd be covered by insurance. Our insurance didn't cover it, bummer, but we did use our HRA. So this is August. We sent pictures in. Actually, I need a for Benny and Cora, and they both got approved. And I'm not gonna lie, my first initial response was, of course they got approved. Won't they take everybody? To speak to that, no, they don't take everybody. They actually do. I think they said 30% of kids, they say they don't qualify because they need other forms of intervention first that they can tell. But I didn't know this at the time. And then my kids came down with whooping cough. And at night, they'd be waking up coughing, and it just was not a good time to introduce anything new to our mouth or breathing and that sort of thing. Life just kind of got busy, and then the tooth pillow person reached out around November. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go back. I did want to get a second opinion. There's a local Airway dentist. She's very nice. Did not have a bad experience with her. We got Cora evaluated, and what we found out was that what she was suggesting was around $6,000. She was thinking Cora would need an expander. So a lot of kids need to expand the roof of the mouth. But they also need another device along with it, the Vivos device, which looks something like this. There's MyoBrace, there's Vivos. It's a company that makes them. Tooth Pillow uses these same devices that the dentists do. The issue is what you end up paying for in the dentist office is chair time. So what this person was asking for with doing an expander or one of these devices and $6,000 is not inappropriate. She deserved to be paid for her time. But what was hard was I would have to be dragging 4 kids there. $6,000 one kid was a lot. We were trying to avoid the $6,000 fee with braces. We didn't feel comfortable going ahead with that route. But a lot of people do need expanders, and a lot of people who don't get results with tooth pillow need to go back to an expander, and then they can go back to tooth pillow. So it is a little bit of a dance. You can work with your dentist, and especially asking the dentist for the tooth pillow, so you can have with the code a $50 free video consult. So definitely worth looking into that. She had said we could start with an expander, we could start with the Vivos device. It's this sort of device. We decided to switch dentists to another kid-friendly Airway dentist local in our area. And the problem is a lot of times these dentists are booked out. So we met with her, and she also does tongue and lip tie revisions. And so it felt like a comprehensive in-office experience. The question is, do I need to see an Airway dentist in person? I do not think you do, because they do really good screenings with tooth pillow alone. However, if you want to, it's worth a one-time visit to go to an Airway dentist and just get what they're going to say. And then if they say you're a great candidate for MyoBrace, for Vivos, then I personally would go through tooth pillow, whether that dentist is a tooth pillow provider or not. The reason that I would, it's cheaper because you're not paying for their chair time. Everything's virtual and set up. They made it so that it is cost effective. You may have to pay a consult fee. So when we went to that one dentist in person, we had to pay her $250 for her to consult with her. It can be worth it for sure. I would say start with tooth pillow. If you don't feel good about that, then seek out a local person, and then you can decide. You can always stop with a tooth pillow, go to an Airway dentist, get that expander, and then return to the tooth pillow program. You can always do that. Anyways, our dentist is a tooth pillow provider, and she said, no, I think get started with myofunctional therapy, which we did the add-on to the tooth pillow program. So the tooth pillow program has its own base price in and of itself. Base program comes with 1 free myofunctional therapy consult, free, it's included in the charge. But another one comes with 10 sessions for an extra $1,000. So it's $100 a session, but it's virtual. There is pros and cons to the virtual aspect of it, but I thought if we're doing this, I want to make sure. Myofunctional therapy, they send this little bag, and it has all different tools to help get the kids' lips moving properly. That was an exercise. Cora had to blow a ball to work with tongue, and it's all about strengthening the muscles in the tongue to get it to rest properly. It's also that if they have a tongue and lip tie release, you want to strengthen the tongue so that it can stay disconnected after it's been released. You don't want to have a tongue and lip tie release without myofunctional therapy. So she says, get started with myofunctional therapy, get tooth pillow, you'll be good. So after that, I felt really good about going ahead with Benny and Cora and getting it. When we were filling out the questionnaire at the dentist's office, I really didn't think we had that many symptoms. Turns out they were mouth breathers because they kept their mouth open. Even though I would go in at night and a lot of their air came through their nose, they still had their mouth open a little. There was some restless sleep. Cora did seem to have some attention issues that I had on my radar, and I didn't necessarily know what it was. Cora did have some bedwetting, but Benny, he did have some crooked teeth, but nothing too crazy. We got started with it. We got the box. They loved the box. They were like so excited. Cora's, thank you so much, Mommy, for getting us tooth pillow. I think she thought it was just a really cool gift, and it is really neat, but it was really funny and cute. And then we got started with myofunctional therapy right away. And I'm not gonna lie, It was overwhelming at first. And I felt overwhelmed with, oh, just do this exercise 3 times a day. Oh, just wear the tooth pillow at night. Oh, now just wear it for an hour a day. And it does feel like a lot because you're also supposed to do nasal hygiene and things. What I will say is tooth pillow is very kind and gracious where they're like, it is a journey. And some kids have to start with putting this device in their mouth for 5 seconds. And then the next day is 10 seconds. And then the next night is 30 seconds. And then the goal of the first week being to keep it in 5 minutes. And then the goal of the first month is keeping it an hour a night. And then by 3 months, they're able to tolerate it. Some kids really do need a little more help. My kids were actually able to keep it. Cora couldn't keep it in as well, but now she keeps it in fine and wakes up with it fine. But you can use mouth tape to do it too. It was a learning curve. Stick with it, parents. I remember being overwhelmed, frustrated. I had so much grace for people who have kids with real medical issues of the interventions they have to do every day, every hour. It was a lot, but I'm really glad. And it's actually something I'm really thankful we worked through because now we have fun. Even if I'm like, oh my gosh, Benny, do your exercises. You're driving me nuts. We laugh about it and we get over it pretty quickly. So I definitely recommend having the attitude of just getting into a habit of anything, working out, drinking more water. It's going to take time. You're going to have days you totally forget about it. And then each day you just try to do a little more, a little better. There are people who say the only thing they did was wear this at night. They didn't do the nasal hygiene and blowing your nose and wearing it in the middle of the day. And some people aren't even doing the myofunctional therapy exercises. We would aim to do the therapy exercises about 2 times a day. You're supposed to do them 3 times a day. If we could do them once a day, I was really proud of myself. 2 times, great. 3, I was like, wow, we deserve a Presidential Medal of Honor. The first month, it was hard. It wasn't until the first quarter that we got to take pictures that I was realizing how impactful it's already been. And then that's when I decided to become an Airway advocate. Because it was like, if we see these results in 3 months, what can people see in 2 years? The program is supposed to last for 2 years with their support. You can continue on with things afterwards. After a month, I realized Cora's bedwetting went away. The only time she had wet the bed was when we forgot to have her put her tooth pillow in that night. She did have a little regression around, 4 months. And I talked to her myofunctional therapist about it. And I was like, she's been wetting the bed. Like we were watching her water intake. But then the myofunctional therapist says, well, she's been adjusted lately by a chiropractor. And I was like, no, it's creeping on a mom. And so we got her adjusted and whatever it was, maybe the combination of everything, she hasn't wet the bed since. That was really cool. And I know that that's directly related to getting her mouth breathing. When you're not breathing properly at night, it really messes up your neurological system. And the reason we toss and turn, we're not getting good breaths. So our nervous system goes into shock. And then sometimes that's when kids release pee or that's when they move to be able to get a better breath. That can be the restless sleep, the wetting the bed. That's the short story, but there is way more information about that. If you want, I can send you that. So of course, bedwetting went away. And then when you see the pictures just after 3 months, you see their teeth are already straightening out, which to me is so flippin' cool. Honestly, I would say it's hard to see if it's really helping with Cora's concentration. I would say that right now, I don't have worries about her concentration. So that's probably the answer. Yes, it's helping. But it's also hard to say because we started this when she was 5.5 and now it's 6 months later. And maybe some of the things she was concentrating on was just because she was younger and she wasn't that excited about it. Again, I don't want to overpromise on that, but we're not having any behavioral issues with them. Overall, I would say just the crooked teeth alone is more than reason to do it. But then you really set your kids up for success if you are helping them breathe through their nose from little on. Avoiding sleep apnea, the sleep app machines. A lot of kids, when they're snoring at night, that is signs that something is not right. Snoring is signs of a bigger issue that can have more health implications. Really want you to take that seriously. They are coming out with programs for 0 to 3 babies, and I really think I'm going to get Eliezer into that just to try it out, but he could use it. He's not a great sleeper, and I wonder if this would help. But then our Lydia, she snores a little bit. It's getting better because we do have the Myo Munchie for her, so you can always look into that to get kids started. But she's really restless, sleepy, and definitely some behavior stuff that I'm wondering if it's a little more than just being strong-willed, and we can support her. And then they are coming out a program with adults. A lot of times adults have to go in and work with an in-person dentist for the initial work. But then afterwards, they can use a device like this that cuts down on the cost and that they're able to do from home. So I'm really excited about that. And I've been noticing that I'm grinding my teeth at night and I'm a little more tense. I was actually curious if I would be a good candidate because, again, I got braces, but I never necessarily address any root causes. I'm definitely going to look into that for myself. I hope this makes sense. Let me know what questions you have. For the month of April, if you go through my link and you decide that you want to do this and you go ahead and buy a plan, there's $250 off the basic plan. That's without the myofunctional therapy. And so that means you either are just going to do what the app provides, which isn't customized, or you can work with your own myofunctional therapist. Or you get $300, their recommended plan, which is the plan that we used, and you get the 10 visits with the myofunctional therapist. It isn't a rush, it's just a little more off a month. So if you know this is something you're interested in, you can go use the Rise and Climb code or follow the link and just let me know whatever questions you have. I will be sharing more videos on how you can help support other issues. It didn't necessarily fix everything. We've added in a few things to really help that are really working. I'm really excited to share that too. So let me know what questions you have. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.